meeting to order. This is the Tuesday, August 19th meeting of the West Newbury Planning Board. I'm the chair, Ann Bardeen. And we will get started with tonight's agenda. We have two public hearings tonight. We have 5 minutes before the first one is scheduled to begin. So let me just go over a few rules of the road while we're waiting for stragglers to arrive and waiting for it to be 7:05. The way these two public hearings will work, we have scheduled them for about a half an hour apart, and we will begin at 7:05 as it is scheduled with 0 Middle Street. When the time comes at 7:30 for the second scheduled hearing, we will recess Middle Street and take up the matter before us at 7:30. We will move that along to the best of our ability and then resume Middle Street once we've decided that it's time to do that. I can't really give you an estimate of how much time that will be, but it's all instructive as they are both similar kinds of hearings, so we hope you'll stick with us. I was trying to decide what might be the quickest thing that we could do in our remaining 4 minutes. Members, if you can look at agenda item number 3. We're taking this out of order because I think it will be very quick. The Open Space and Recreation Committee sent us a copy of their action plan. They intend to submit it to the state because they've learned that if they submit it with certain time deadlines and so forth, they can get the existing plan extended for 3 years, which would be a great use of everyone's time and resources to extend that rather than embarking on a new one. So in order to comply with their deadline, they've asked us to send them comments by August 29th. So I am asking that any of you who have comments, let us know what they are. We don't need to approve it. This gets approved by the select board, but they just asked for our input. I didn't have any. Did others have anything you wanted to pass along to them at this time?
Well, Ann, would we be passing them along as individual members of the planning board? I mean, couldn't we do it that way?
Well, I'm concerned about meeting their deadline. They need to
Right,
get this
right.
thing wrapped up.
You
so.
said the deadline's the 29th.
Yeah.
So over the next couple of days, if we all sent comments out, do we send them to land administration or do we send it direct to?
Well, do you have comments now, or have you
No,
not had
I don't have comments now.
Okay.
I don't have
Okay.
comments now. I'm anxious
right.
to look at it, but I don't have comments right now.
Okay.
Anne, could I just make a comment?
Sure,
The intent of this is for the planning board to look at tasks that
Right.
they have responsibility for. So,
Right.
Okay.
Right. No, I understand.
Okay.
What I thought is that, there was nothing there that looked very unusual to me. And what I thought we could do is we could tell them that our input now is that we think they should go ahead and submit it. We don't see any particular red flags. And then we could take it up later in the fall to discuss actions that we may take on the things that they've tasked us with. I don't think there are any big conflicts there. Does that work for you, Wendy? Would that? Yeah, thank you. Okay, Ray, Brian?
Yes, good by me.
Yep, Brian? I don't know if Brian's had a chance to look at it. Can you hear me, Brian? Oh, you're very quiet.
What are we talking about, please?
We're talking about item number 3, the Open Space and Recreation Committee's action plan. They're under a deadline to request input from us. From my reading of it, the areas that they've identified as are potentially being involved in tasks are nothing new or surprising to us. And I think it's fine to let them know now that we don't have any specific input, but we'll take it up later in the fall, just to make sure that we've got on our radar the things that they would like us to pitch in with. Brian, we still can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you
Oh,
hear
there
me
we go.
now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I fixed the problem. My apologies.
That's okay.
Okay.
Any particular input on this?
I just heard, I didn't hear what you were saying. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Open Space and Recreation Plan. They have a deadline to be able to submit this to the state to get their plan extended. They asked if we had any input. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. My reading of it.
I did go through it. I have no input.
Yeah, okay. Well, not hearing any input at the moment and getting the thumbs up from Wendy to proceed as I described, I'm just going to take kind of a straw poll. We don't need to vote to approve, but I'll just make a motion that we acknowledge the receipt of the plan from the Open Space and Recreation Committee and urge them to submit it to meet their deadline, and we will take it up with them later in the fall. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, sure.
Okay, your enthusiasm is impressive. All right, thank you very much. I'll follow up with Jen tomorrow to make sure that message gets through to the select board that we've taken that up and that they can proceed as they need to. All right, it's 7:06. Thanks for your patience, everyone. The meeting agenda calls for us to continue a public hearing for 0 Middle Street, map R15, lot 79. This is a public hearing that's been ongoing. The last session at which we discussed this was July 15th, I believe. And the way we'll go through this is what we usually do. I'll first ask the applicant and their representatives if they have any additional information or anything that they'd like to tell us about tonight. After that, it will be the turn of the board to ask questions and comments of the applicant, ask questions and make comments to the applicant. And then that'll be followed by any additional comments and questions from the public. We have received various emails and comments in the planning board office, so we'll take the substance of those up at that time. So I'll turn it over to the applicant. I think the representative is here, Lisa Mead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. For the record, Lisa Mead, Tellerman Costa, 30 Green Street, Newburyport, on behalf of Ellen Thurlow, who is the applicant. With me this evening is Sam Colombo, who's from Millennium Engineering, who is the engineer on the project. And as the chair suggested, I do want to recap kind of where we are and where we've been. At our initial meeting, we went over the special permit criteria related for our reduced frontage lot and our common driveway special permits. All of those criteria are part of the record. We also discussed how the applicant meets the scenic road permit criteria as well. At that meeting, the board requested that the Board of Health and Mr. Savigny review the stormwater for each lot. The board noted that the outside peer review consultants had previously done that on the previous plans, but really wanted the Board of Health to do their work on the stormwater. 3.5 weeks ago, the Board of Health approved the stormwater design for each of the lots proposed, and we have provided those plans immediately thereafter, to the planning board. And Sam, of course, has those tonight as well, should anybody have any questions about that. Also, the board just confirmed the Conservation Commission approval. And again, the applicant had previously received an order of conditions for the property on our first go round on this, and has confirmed with the Conservation Commission that the proposed plans show disturbance further away from the resource area, and therefore no amendments to the order of conditions is required at this time. The applicant also provided the common driveway easements and stormwater easements in conformance with the bylaw, and we discussed those at the last time we met. And also, I would just reiterate that the board asked for confirmation. We said, of course, the board could include this as a condition that the stone wall will not be further altered without planning board approval. And of course, that's part of your bylaws in any event. So we're happy to have that as a condition. And then also, additionally, we've been informed that the town is not interested in that back parcel of land that we have now marked non-buildable, a non-buildable lot, to make it clear that that land is not buildable. And so we're suggesting the following thing occur. The applicant, as I said, has noted on the plan that it's not a buildable lot. And then we'd request that the planning board include a condition in their decision that provides that the applicant cannot obtain an A&R approval until the applicant either restricts the rear lot for open space on record or conveys it for open space to a qualified party. As an example of that condition, I provided this to the board prior to our last meeting that didn't actually occur. We would suggest a condition that the applicant shall not receive A&R approval until the back land noted as a quote, not a buildable lot, end quote, is restricted to open space use or conveyed for open space use. So that assures the town that that's what's going to happen with it. And it doesn't let us take the next important step, which would be an A&R approval. So we would welcome that condition in any decision that the board might issue. And with that, that's kind of the overview of what has happened between now and the last meeting. Sam has the plans, as I'm sure member Mr. Cook, Professor Cook also has the plans at his ready. So we're happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thank you. And I just have one question about the potential open space restriction. That would, who would own that in fee if that were, that's a fairly general note to include.
Well, it is because I don't have and one of the reasons I said we would not come in with an A&R until that was done is because I don't currently have a buyer, right? I can't have a buyer until I know I actually have a lot. And I don't have an approval from this board, so I can't go to somebody and say, you know, will you buy this lot for open space, or will you take this as a donation, excuse me, for open space, or hold an open space restriction on it.
Okay.
And that's why I requested the condition, because I can't give away or encumber something I don't yet have.
Okay, so we have a little slight chicken and egg issue, but I think we can probably work that out if that's what the board
That's why I
decides.
suggested the condition for sure.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That makes
thank you.
sense to me.
All right, board members, questions? Please speak up or raise your hand as you wish. Ray, do you have any comments or questions?
Well, I just, I've been looking over things and I know that a lot of people in the neighborhood and in the town are concerned about preserving the rural character. And I just want to assure anybody tonight that it is our intent to preserve the rural character. And so we end up trying to figure out how best to do that. And I've seen comments about people saying, well, we should stick to our bylaws. And I want to point out to people who may not be as familiar with them as we are that the special permit process is part of the town's bylaws. And then I'm going to go out on a limb here and speak frankly. I think, the way to best preserve the rural character is to leave this a field and not have any houses built upon it. But we don't have the right to tell a private landowner what to do with their land. And they have the right to seek professional opinion and help and engineering and come up with what they think will best serve them with their property. And so, government, we as part of the government can get caught in between here, but people have property rights and we have to respect them. So, so I think that's where we are. And I just wanted to start out by saying that I, for one, am very interested in trying to find the best solution here and to do it within the law and make the best decision I can, considering all that.
All right, thank you. I have a similar piece to speak, but I'm going to ask first if Brian or Rob has any application-specific comments for the applicant or, the engineer or the lawyer. Brian?
Yes, and it may have been mentioned as I was trying to get settled here, and I may have missed it, so I apologize to the counselor. But one of the restrictions that we'd be looking for, and I think was agreed to, is that these be labeled as a no duplex residences. And I think we also talked about restricting the ADU application, accessory dwelling unit. Although I understand that that may not be clear because that is a state law. So I wonder if Attorney Councilor Mead could weigh in on that, please.
So certainly I believe that we did talk about the no duplex idea because obviously they could do that by right with the 2 lots, right? And that was the whole
Yes.
point of doing the common driveway and special permit. So that's fine. We don't have a problem with that condition at all, Mr. Murphy. In fact, I forgot about that conversation that we had before. I think with the ADU, that's a little more difficult because it's now under Section 3 of 40A.
Exactly. I thought I'd get your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I think that that's a little more difficult to it's new enough that I can't opine on that. I think it's a lot more difficult to restrict that.
Okay. Nope, fair enough.
Yep.
I also want to be sure that, again, in the prior application, we talked about some landscaping in front of the, on lot 2. Would that be still on this plan?
We did submit a landscaping plan as part of
Yes.
our original package, so it included all that landscaping. So yes,
Good.
it would be subject to that landscaping plan. That's
Good.
correct.
Good, thank you. And also in the prior application, which was last fall and then ultimately was withdrawn, I believe, early this year. I may not have that date correct, but you showed us a potential subdivision here, and one of them showed 4 house lots and one showed 5. And we, in fact, showed the 4-lot subdivision plan to our engineering review firm, Meridian, and they felt that what was presented was quite feasible.
Right.
Is it, if you could, and I realize, you may not want to, I'll give you that option, expand on why that was not chosen versus the plan in front of us.
Sure. I think that the client makes decisions the way she needs to make decisions. She's, forgive me, Ellen, as I say this, she's elderly. This is her retirement. Constructing a subdivision takes a little bit longer, and is a more difficult, agreement to achieve with the buyer. But certainly 4 lots, we thought eminently doable, and 5 lots would be a little bit of a stretch, but could probably be doable as well. And so she would rather, and I, frankly, I also want to say she understands the time in the community, and she thinks this is better for the area that we're in. That's not to say that she wouldn't just sell the whole thing and have somebody else do it, right? But she would prefer to make sure she has some control over this and that it reserves the character of the area, and she believes that this does more than a subdivision.
I see. Yes. No. I thank you. That certainly clarifies them. There may be a question later from as to what that would look like, but clearly the planning board would not have been able to impose conditions on a subdivision. If you just meet the subdivision bylaw, you pretty much can put that in, and we don't have any say. They could all be duplexes.
I was just ready to say that if we do because of the zoning in the area, we might have 4 lots, but we could have eight residential units.
Correct, with all that traffic out of one particular street.
That's correct.
Yes. Good. No, thank you, Councilor. I appreciate that. That's my only comment at the moment. And I do think we did cover the stone walls and the restrictions on further work. So, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. How about you, Rob?
Kind of related to Brian's questions. Lisa, in the documentation, you made reference to, I think, 2,650 plus or minus square feet when you were talking about the built structures.
The size of the units?
Yeah,
I don't know that we have, I think we have footprints there. Sam, can you tell me what the size of those footprints are? And they're just, that would be the envelope.
Yeah, I believe they're roughly 2,800 square feet.
In plan, one level.
Right.
Correct.
And it wouldn't, they're going to be built, whatever is going to be is market driven, right? But that's essentially the footprint area.
So yeah, you could have a much smaller footprint, maybe two-story building that would fit inside these dark rectangles.
Right. With the patio and, whatever
Sure.
else around it, right?
but at least as far as the footprint goes, the plan is showing the footprint.
That's correct.
Right, thank
The
you.
buildable area, the building area, let's call it that.
Yeah, well,
Right.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So I had a couple comments that go to what Ray said. Looking at the mission statement, there are two things. One of the main missions of the planning board, which is an entity that's configured by the state of Massachusetts, is to execute responsibilities under Massachusetts general laws. The state does not allow communities, for instance, to impose housing moratoriums. The planning boards are subject to Mass general laws and also the Zoning Act. And then our own local zoning is based on that zoning act. And then from time to time over the past, I think at this point, it's 70 or more years, the town has, through the town meeting, voted to create other zoning bylaws to help shape the town the way we want it to be. The item in the mission statement that talks about rural character starts out by saying, manage growth to best preserve the rural character of West Newbury. We cannot limit growth. We cannot control growth. We can manage it within the guardrails established by the local zoning and by the state. So the way we try to manage it is we try to adopt bylaws that we believe will help foster the character of the town. One big example is the open space residential development where houses are clustered. Before that, there was a cluster development where we try to preserve tracts of open space and group the housing together. So it's really through the zoning process and through the creation of zoning bylaws that reflect the will of the town that we have in place the rules that allow us to manage. So I would urge all of you to take this little civics lesson and stay involved with the planning board. On our agenda tonight, and we'll take it up probably at a later meeting, but is to revisit the reduced frontage bylaw. Clearly, there's some concern that it may not, be serving us as well as it could, or may not be as clear as we could make it. But anyway, I'm just making the point that we live and die by the bylaws and by the state laws. I think Ray has something to add to that.
Yeah, you used the first person plural, the we there a few times. As far as the bylaws are concerned, I just want to point out that all the bylaws were passed at town meetings by at least a 2/3 vote. So the bylaws are established by the town and not by the planning board per se. We can propose a bylaw, but the town is the one that votes on it. So the idea of reduced frontage, the idea of a common driveway, these are all things that came before the town as a whole. And by a 2-to-1 margin or more, the town voted that this bylaw should be Town of West Newbury's bylaw. So I don't want anybody to think that the planning board has the power to create bylaws and then impose them upon an unwilling constituency.
Thank you for that clarification. I use we sometimes to refer to the town and sometimes the board, and that was confusing. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, I kind of as an adjunct to this application, which does have 2 reduced frontage lots. Some folks may not be aware that diagonally across, probably certainly less than 100 yards across the street, across Middle Street, there is a reduced frontage lot that was approved over 30 years ago. It was sometime in the 90s. And there are 2 reduced frontage lots on Indian Hill Street, which is about 2.5 miles away, that this board approved perhaps 15 plus years ago. We don't see this all the time, certainly, but it has been in practice and applied over the years. So I just want to mention that.
Okay, thank you. We're getting close to the time when we're going to have to recess this to go to our other hearing. I'll just note for everyone that the board has received all the required paperwork from other boards and committees, either approvals from the Board of Health regarding stormwater and the septic system, from other departments which must be consulted. Public safety and the building commissioner had no comments on any of these. There are 3 special permits, or 2 special permits and a scenic roads action before us. There were no comments received there. As regards the scenic roads, the DPW director who weighs in on trees and stone walls did submit his comments earlier, which were that since no trees over 10 inches in diameter were being removed, and since the stone wall was being repaired and reused on site, that he was satisfied with the application before us. So that's just to kind of wrap up a few of those loose ends. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about for a minute? We have a draft decision, but it was written by our previous planner, and there have been some changes to documentation and to dates and so forth. And so any decision that the board produces will not be reviewed tonight, but will be, will be a future document that will be crafted by our new town planner, who begins work on Monday, August 25th. So we'll put him right to work. That, among other things, will pick up all these conditions and make sure we have all the dates of the hearings correct, make sure that we've acknowledged the receipt of all the various documents and public comments that have come in writing. So with that being said, I am going to recess this public hearing. I'm not closing it. I'm not continuing it. This is a brief recess so that we can proceed with our agenda.
Hey, Ann, if I could.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Angus.
Hi, sorry. As you know, I'm part of the applicant for the 7:30
Right.
hearing. There's not a requirement to open on time. You just can't open early. So if the planning board sees fit to kind of see through what you're doing,
Oh.
even if you don't get to us for a while.
All right, well, I appreciate your forbearance. I think that makes sense. We're kind of,
Yeah.
we've got everyone teed up here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I think it's really important to continue with Middle Street right now.
Yeah,
Thank you
good.
very much, Angus.
All right,
definitely.
thanks,
Yeah,
Angus.
sure.
I have to say, I did not remember that rule, so I'm glad you're here to remind us. All right, well, let's proceed then. I think the next thing will be any members of the public who wish to speak. And it's always a little bit tricky, but we'll try to acknowledge you. If you can raise your hand in the chat. Oh, there's the first person that I see. And remember, when you're recognized, to unmute yourself and to let us know your name and your address for the minutes, please. I'm going to recognize Mark Belanger.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mark Belanger. I live at 130 Middle Street, near the property. I appreciate all of your work in and trying to maintain the character of the town, and in the plan. And I understand the position that Ms. Thurlow is in. It's my understanding that the bylaws and the rules around frontage are used as a gating mechanism. They are agreed through town meeting to get us through thoughtful growth. And then I also understand that this process is used for exceptions. This is a logical way to bring exceptional opportunities to the town. What I'm missing here is that doesn't seem anything exceptional about the third property. It doesn't. We're being asked to break kind of what the towns agreed to, but we're not getting any relief on affordable housing or any of the other major town priorities. So I have to stand against this unless I can hear a compelling reason why we should be breaking the rules that we've set together. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think I'll let the applicant address this first before the board does. Attorney Mead?
Sure, I'm happy to address any of the comments. I would disagree. So first of all, the bylaw provides a special permit mechanism to allow the reduced frontage lots. So yes, you have a standard of what your lot area and frontage requires, but then the bylaw says in these instances where you can maintain these various aspects of the community, then you can and meet the special permit criteria, then you can receive and or consider a special permit for a reduced frontage lot. I would disagree that the town isn't getting anything here. First of all, this includes not developing that rear portion of the property and allowing it to be either used for public open space or some kind of other open space that may be accessible in the future to the public. Secondly, it also will eliminate the potential of more dense development on this property that could be done essentially by right through a subdivision approval. So I disagree that, in fact, the town isn't getting anything. In fact, they're getting restrictions on the lot and available open space in the rear.
All right, thank you. Let's see, other members of the public, it's a little hard for me to see everybody.
There's an Alexa Jerzak.
All right, thank you. I'll recognize Alexa Jerzak, please.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to comment. I am also a neighbor in this neighborhood. We live across the street at 134 Stewart Street. And we were part of a group of neighbors that voiced opposition to this project as it's currently proposed. Completely understanding that there's a need for more housing in West Newbury. We know that that's a hard thing, especially when we moved to this town to find affordable housing. And, you know, the reason that we wrote a letter and oppose this is for exactly the reasons that Mark Bellinger, our neighbor, stated, which is that, you know, part of the reason that people come to this area is for the rural character, for maintaining that rural character. And if we have the certain zoning and bylaws in place as they stand right now, which our town adopted, then that's what we should be following. We shouldn't be accepting certain special permits that in my position, or at least from my belief, I don't believe that they fit all of the actual criteria that's listed in points 1 through 7 in our zoning and bylaws. So again, this is going to, in my opinion, you know, we have 2 young kids at this intersection. It's a very busy intersection as it is right now. We have called public safety and the police to do speed monitorings here just because people take that corner very quickly. We believe this is going to add to more congestion. And for us, you know, especially for our neighbors with the reduced frontage, we believe that that's going to have a negative impact on this section of our neighborhood. Knowing full well that there are other options for them to do, you know, different buildings on this lot right now that aren't just the 2 houses plus the third if they're approved for the special frontage permit. But we just believe that this doesn't follow, you know, the certain criteria that's listed in the zoning and bylaws, and really urge the planning board to take serious consideration to the neighbors that will be impacted by this.
All right, thank you. Anyone have comments, board members or the applicant? Hearing none. All right, I'm going to look for somebody else to recognize. Let's see.
I'm not seeing
Ray,
it.
do you want to stop sharing the drawing so I can get a better view of people?
Sure.
That would help me. Thank
Hi,
you.
I'm Diana Denny. I don't know where my hand is to.
Oh, that's okay. All right, Diana Denning, and what's your address, please?
I'm at 186 Bachelor
Thank you.
across the way. And, my concern with this development is that when you apply for a frontage variance, you do get to put in a smaller lot. It allows you a 1 acre lot, which is smaller than the other lots in the area, which is what creates that sense of like sort of overcrowding, which takes away from the rural character. Again, what's the pressing need for this other than there's a right to build 2 lots based on the existing frontage as the town established as a norm with a process for putting in more housing if you want to on your property. It's not clear to me, but I believe in the language, there was some space for neighbor and community input in these variance requests. Can you clarify for me what that input is and where people may have some say in the development of their neighborhoods? My other concern is that as we start to densify and allow variances for smaller lots, every person who has a larger lot, if they can get a perk and hire an engineer to make a plot plan, they can create and apply for these variances as well. And that would only be fair. And so how is that serving our community? It is basically allowing unfettered growth.
Right. Well, I do want to respond to some of what you said. There are no variances involved here. These are all, there are 2 special permits, which is different than a variance. Variance is not heard by this board, and it's a much higher bar to cross to get a variance. But I believe that everything about this application is in conformance with with our bylaw. I'm not quite sure what you mean about the input. Can you clarify that a little bit?
I was under the impression that one of the factors in the board approving a variance was neighbor input and community input. And I'm wondering where that is. When in the process does that exist? And there is not. It sounds like there really isn't. Anybody can do what they want to. You have to rubber stamp it if they've followed all the steps. And so but I am concerned that this means everybody in town could put in a reduced frontage lot along with their accessory dwelling unit. And, it just starts to get it just starts to seem a little like we're just having unlimited growth. And how do we as a community really work towards that? But in this particular parcel, I see a reduced lot size of 1 acre smack dab in front of another house across the street. And this is just generally not how our street has been developed. Anybody can see that looking at it, that the houses aren't placed directly across from each other like you would see in a more dense subdevelopment. And so I don't see a compelling need for that to preserve the quality of the neighborhood. And if we have a number of neighbors who are expressing their concerns about the impact on the neighborhood, whether it be future development or current development plan, how is that taken into account by the planning committee or the process of developing parcels?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to let Ray field this one. I saw his hand first.
Well, I'll just jump in here real quick. Again, there's an expression called term of art, and it's basically when you're getting technical about definitions. So just to be clear again, this is a special permit process and not a variance process. And that matters a great deal about how things are decided. Another thing that I want to point out here is that the planning board doesn't get involved in a tremendous amount of development that goes on around town. If somebody just goes along with the normal requirements, then they don't come before the planning board. if somebody wants to do something like this through a special permit process, they're certainly allowed to do that, and that's what's happening here. With respect to the lot sizes, now, Anne, you correct me if I'm wrong here, Brian,
I can
Rob,
see it. Yeah.
I think that the required lot size in this zoning district is 1 acre. Well, 1 acre, it is 40,000 feet.
Right.
And yeah, for the reduced frontage lots, they actually have to be twice as big.
Right.
So that's why lot 1 and lot 3, as I don't know if you can see the table here, but those are twice as big, 80,000 square feet. So
So if I could, Ray.
Yes, Rob.
To go back to the previous statements, there's a conforming lot smack dab in the middle. The reduced frontage lots are on either side, and those reduced frontage lots are both over 2 acres. So that's just to clarify the previous statement, which just was wrong.
I'm sorry, I thought it was 2 acre zoning and if
You
you
know,
reduce frontage, you could get 1.
No.
Diana, the fact that you thought that is completely understandable, because right near this, it's a different residential district, and you do have to have 2 acre lots. But for this, we're in the zoning where you only need 1 acre lots.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
the reduced frontage provision certainly doesn't allow you to have a smaller lot. In fact, it requires you to have at
A
least
larger lot.
twice as large a lot as the underlying zoning calls for. And I know it can be a little deceptive when we get to this outback part of town, because there are many, many enormous lots. But just because they are now enormous, or were even split off from even more enormous parcels, the requirements in town are basically 1/2 acre along Main Street, 1 acre for the Residence B zone, and then 2 acres when you get a little bit farther out to Residence C.
Thank you for that clarification. I do want to also just state that I have some concerns about a process that simply involves perking and engineering to allow for growth and doesn't allow for the input of others in town. Where in the process, I thought I saw language saying that neighbors were allowed to express dissent and have some input in these reduced frontage requests.
Yep, that's what you're doing right now. The neighbor input comes when an application has been received. Then we advertise in the newspaper to hold a public hearing. Public hearing notices are sent to abutters within a certain distance. And also, I will point out that even for people in other parts of town, planning board agendas are always available online on the town's website. And we welcome people to attend our hearings and to speak up. I think we've made time at every public hearing for that to happen. And we do, acknowledge and read all the comments that are sent to the office.
But I want to clarify that those comments and input don't have any bearing on the process.
Oh, on that,
Well, I see that Attorney Mead has her hand raised. I'm just going to let her speak up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, say a couple of things. First of all, just so everybody's clear on the size of the lots, the lot in the middle is 46,953 square feet, and so that's larger than an acre. Lot 1 is 100,286 square feet, so that's larger than 2 acres. And lot 3 is 88,722 square feet, so that's just about 2 acres. So it obviously all of the lots meet the zoning requirements. But for all of those people who weren't part of this, we were actually we were in this process last year with a different proposal that the planning board exercised a lot of discretion over and was not happy with, and made it very clear to us that they were not happy with it, and gave us their feedback, and we came back in with a different proposal. So I just want to be clear that this has been an iterative process. And in fact, the planning board has exercised their discretion to make it clear what would be acceptable and what maybe not be acceptable. Obviously, I don't know what is going to happen tonight, but we came in with a different proposal. The planning board basically said, this is not okay with us. And we went away and came back hoping to address their issues. Thank you.
And if
Yes,
I
go
may,
ahead, Ray. Yes.
and again, being very technical, because I find that when things are emotionally upsetting, it's good to be as defined as possible. There are public meetings. All the planning board meetings are public, and then there's public hearings. In a public meeting where everybody's always welcome to attend, technically, people attending don't have the right to speak and weigh in, but it's long been the tradition in the town of West Newbury that when somebody shows up and has an opinion on something, we listen anyway, even though we don't have to. But it's not as formal a listening session as this is. And this is a public hearing where you have the right to provide your input. And then, lest you think it's a rubber stamp process, I assure you that it is not. We really do. We read the letters that come in ahead, the letters that come in during. We listen to people at public hearings. I know that the input from the public has had an influence on my opinion, and there have been times, especially when it comes to the phrase that I'm sure we're going to hear later on tonight, whether or not it adversely affects the neighborhood. Our decision has to consider whether or not it adversely affects the neighborhood. And who better to provide input on that than the people who are living in the neighborhood? So there you go. That's enough for now.
Okay, thank you.
And I've got my hand up, but I can't see
Okay.
that I'm,
All
okay.
right. All right, Deb Hamilton?
Yes, thank you. I'm Deb Hamilton. I live at 227 Riddle Street, which is just off this map that we're looking at to the east. And I did subdivide my lot at one point, but I had 400 feet of frontage, and I made sure that the lot that I subdivided and I each ended up with at least 200 feet of frontage. My principal objections are that this is a zoning bylaw that in the past, when we have allowed for reduced frontage lots, we have not halved that requirement. I know that sometimes there were instances where somebody needed another 50 feet to get a driveway access or something like this. Decades ago, when I attended planning board meetings, there was great resistance from certain members of the planning board about allowing for any reduced frontage. I also would really back up the thoughts about the scenic vista aspect here. Instead of seeing the big green field that my kids and my neighbors have enjoyed for the 50 years that I've lived here, there will be a row of 3 houses now that when one comes up Stewart Street, instead of a lovely green scenic vista, it will be a solid, pretty much bank of 3 homes. 2 of them are further back. One of them is at the top of the hill. It may be that they'll be far enough back that we can see over them. I heard something tonight that I had not heard before, and that is that the footprints are for 1-story houses. Is that, that's not assured. So, and the proposal for 26 or 2,800 square foot houses, is that to be included in the restrictions, or could they be 3,600 and 4,000 square foot houses? The other point that I like to make is, in addition to losing the view shed, the parcel in the back that Lisa has mentioned as being an A&R lot, well, it is entirely wet and is tributary to Kelly Brook, which becomes the Artichoke River. This is our and Newburyport's water supply, and it deserves protection. It also, with a very short distance between the back of this land, and then heading east, it almost abuts a 22-acre greenbelt parcel with a trail that goes all the way out to Indian Hill Street. And as a benefit to the neighbors and the people who walk and ride in there, it would be lovely if the protection that Lisa alluded to could include access to the public, whether it's Greenbelt or whoever is going to hold that open space parcel. I would like very much to, make sure, whoops, my computer seems to be not charging, so I may lose you. I'm pretty well finished. Thank you.
I'm going to let Attorney Mead respond to the part about the open space, if you would, please.
Sure. Again, our intention is to, I would say, obviously our most immediate suitor would be Greenbelt because they own the adjacent parcel. And so,
Right.
I will seek out Greenbelt to see if they're interested in it. And then go from there. So again, I can't do that yet because I don't have a piece of land to show anybody. But I understand the comments made through various meetings. The town is not interested in it. So, we're going to have to go with some kind of private entity, and what their goals are related to open space and access and trails and watershed protection and all of that is going to be up to whatever entity that is. But again, we're happy to have that restriction on there that we can't come in for an A&R until I have that solidified. So the town retains total control over that because we can't sell or develop any of the property until we have an A&R.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something. The A&R that you're referring to is the one that will be placed on lot 2, right? As well as the back parcel.
I would describe, we would come in with an A&R plan that divides.
Oh, I see. Showing
all
those
4 parcels.
Okay, I see.
All
Fine.
4
Okay.
parcels.
Got
Right.
it. I just want to speak to Deb's 2 points. You kind of make the applicant's point when you say that protects a watershed and would like to have public access and so forth. I think that is, as I understand it, that's their intention by explicitly creating this as an open space parcel, that it would allow those kinds of things to happen in the future rather than being under private control of lot owners. About the view shed, I'll get to you in a second, Rob. Who doesn't want to see beautiful open fields remain beautiful open fields in town? We all want to see them all remain beautiful open fields, but that's not this board's call to make. So I'll leave it at that and let Rob pick it up from there.
I'm not picking that up. I'm going back to something that we previously just.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. I understood that. So I'm going back to something we previously discussed. Lisa previously answered. Deb re-raised it. On the project description, again, the project will include 3 single-family homes, each approximately 2,650 square feet. We've already discussed that the plan, in fact, shows what Lisa refers to as the building area. Buildable.
No, that's not what she said. That's not what she said, though.
That's what did Lisa say?
I believe. Go ahead. You say what you said.
That those are call them the building envelopes, the footprints. Right.
So we're looking at the size of at least the width and the depth of the what I refer to as the building footprint. But basically that's the size of the houses that are going in there.
No, because you could have to Ray's point earlier, you could have a 2-story house there, right? So
yeah.
So it wouldn't be the size, that would be the footprint of the house, like
the footprint, exactly. That's what we found. Right.
And,
so it
and
can
also,
be 2.5 story, which is typical, whatever. It's not describing the height, but it is describing what you're going to be looking at, what you're going to be facing from the road.
Right.
I actually, I don't think that's correct, Rob. I think you could potentially have a building that fills up this rectangle perfectly.
Right.
But you could also have a building that had a much smaller footprint that
Right.
would fit within these yellow rectangles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It won't exceed what you're showing
Right, and,
Right.
and could be smaller.
and could be smaller.
Because if you did two stories,
doesn't
you'd
speak
be
to the
talking
height.
about a 5,000 plus square
Right.
foot home. I'm not sure that that's would be the best, most marketable home. I don't know.
Right, whatever. So anyways, not to beat a dead horse, which we've started doing, at least you can see the extent to a certain point of how large these houses are. I mention that because the concern Deb raised and others have raised is, how big are these things gonna be? Thank you.
Fine. Other comments?
I
Alexa
make
is raising her hand. Alexa Jursak.
Okay, please go ahead, Alexa.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask another question. Just to confirm, so I'm clear because this is a new space for me. So I know that for residential area B is what we're talking about here for this area of town, correct? And so under the current zoning bylaw and bylaws, for a normal property, you'd have, the minimum of 40,000 square feet for a lot. So lot 2, if it's going to be a reduced frontage lot, it's my understanding that it has to be the 80,000 square feet for the lot according to the bylaws.
It's not a reduced frontage lot. It has
That's not
it's a conforming lot. The only thing exceptional about lot 2 is that it uses a common driveway with the abutting lot 1.
Okay.
It
So
has conforming frontage and conforming area.
So
It's
when you
lots,
guys, which is
it's lots 1 and 3 that would be reduced frontage lots, 2 of them. And the bylaw requires that they can't be side by side on the street, that the reduced frontage can't be side. So because lot 2, a conforming lot, is separating them,
that's where
that's where the technicality runs in, yeah.
okay. That's super helpful. And then I guess just to kind of piggyback on some comments, I think it was from Diane earlier. Again, the piece that we referenced from the current zoning and bylaws was that point number 7 for the special reduced frontage lot requirement, which was, that it shouldn't interfere with the enjoyment of a budding lot or not adversely impact the neighborhood. I know one of our board members also mentioned that, so just wanted to highlight that was at least the section that we were referencing in the bylaws and wanted to make sure it had full consideration of the board.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and if I may, Anne,
Yes.
just to speak as one planning board member here, when this came in front of us the first time and stuff, this was my immediate concern, is does this proposal adversely affect the neighborhood? Because it's been very helpful to me over the years to pull up that section of the bylaw and read those points one by one. And I feel obligated by law that if an applicant produces a proposal that meets every one of those points, then I don't have the ability to deny the special permit based on a whim or some, I don't know, some extraneous, if they meet all those points. So it ends up boiling down to, does this adversely affect the neighborhood? And I have to say that any development here, as Anne pointed out earlier, any development here, it can be argued that it does adversely affect the neighborhood because everybody was enjoying a big open field. Even if you didn't actually run out there with your dogs or kids or anything, it's a nice open field. We love it. So, so now what I'm faced with is what has the least adverse impact on the neighborhood? Would it be 3 houses that cannot be duplexes? Would it be 2 conforming lots that could have duplexes with, or would it be a subdivision with potentially 4 duplexes? And so that's what I'm looking at. And then of course now every residential unit can also have an accessory dwelling unit, which could be attached or detached. So if somebody were trying to build as much as they could for some crazy reason, that's what's going on in my head. And so there you go. I just want you to know that I'm with you. I'm with you. And Mark and Alexa and Diana, I'm listening. But I also need to respect the applicant's desires here, as it's their land and they have a right to come before us with a special permit application, which is what they've done. Alexa's raised her hand again.
Yes, she's muted though. So just remember to, there we go.
Sorry about that. No, I just had a follow-up question to that. If you guys deny the reduced special frontage lot permit, will this leave this applicant with only two buildable lots as it's laid out right now?
No, the application before us is the application before us, and we will take a vote on it, up or down, and that's
Okay,
And then
so
that's the only thing we can do. There's no negotiating, beyond concessions that we've already been able to agree upon, having to do with open space, fewer driveway openings, determining the locations of houses. All of those are things which could not happen uh, under a subdivision or under approval not required lots. We have no control over house placement or any of those other things. So we have
Sure.
to weigh the different components of all this.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Diana, and then Chris Shelley Larkshade.
Chris, just Chris.
Chris also is indication.
I'm going to recognize Chris first since she has not spoken yet, and then I'll get back to Diana.
Usually speak, and I am emotional, and I'm not well versed in any of this. And I respect how much knowledge you all have, and I understand we need to follow the rules, the state rules, to change our own rules.
I'm sorry, I've lost you.
I'm wondering what we can do, separate from this, moving forward, to sort of look at our bylaws, because when we speak, I think we talk a lot about, what happened 30 years ago and we need to have managed growth. My concern is when this land is gone, it's gone forever. And I think it's an emergency. I really do. And I respect Ms. Mead and her client. I appreciate hearing about leaving this space in the back. I think that is that's wonderful in this instance. But when I hear other folks talking about we can have 1 acre and 1 acre and 1 acre, West Newbury is West Newbury, and we can't be all things. We're not Lowell. I love Lowell. I lived in Lowell. I love Sit, but that's not what this is. And I just wonder what we can do to have a bit more control in general sort of terms, respecting landowners' rights, respecting, the Massachusetts, the Commonwealth laws. But what can we do besides saying, well, this is the way it's been and the way it is? It's so sad. I hear the word subdivision and my blood pressure goes up. I'm not elitist or classist or any of these words I hear tossed around at some of the meetings. I just like to see the deer and the turkey, and to have pipe stave. I read something on Facebook the other day about at one time pipe stave was considered it's going to be a little mall, and people stepped up to save it, and how wonderful that was. So what can we do now? This is our turn to do something. And having said all that, I'll say I live on Main Street and I voted yes on maps. So I'm not a totally unreasonable person. I understand we need affordable housing. I understand we need to compromise, but I just wish we could be a little bit more, think about the future and our kids and our grandchildren. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Chris. Any board members want to respond to Chris? Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say, well, we can, as a town, we can change bylaws. So that's one thing. The other thing is that this town has had the foresight to participate in the CPC opportunity offered by the state. There's money set aside to purchase open space. And when something like this field becomes available, you know, the town or an interested group could try to purchase the land for the town. So, you know, that's an opportunity as well. And then it is possible in a neighborhood for a bunch of neighbors to get together and create some sort of legal entity to purchase land so that it's still private land, but maybe it's held in trust by private landowners to preserve it. You know, and if somebody has a piece of property and it's time to sell it, that would be an opportunity as well. So there are those things that can be done. And just so you know, before I forget, there's an attendee, Lisa Forbush.
Yes,
Umholtz.
I see
Okay.
Lisa too. All right, thank you. I'll recognize Lisa, please. Lisa?
You'll have to unmute, Lisa.
Yeah, you're
my
muted,
camera on,
Lisa.
and I might lose my connection. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead. Oh, now I can't hear you, so maybe you have lost your connection.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thing that I wanted to say is my name
Oh,
again is Lisa Forbush. I'm at 150 Meadow. I'm not in a butter of this property, but
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. I don't know if you're still speaking. I'm going to ask Lisa to just stand by, please, and I'm going to recognize Rob Phillips until Lisa gets her audio sorted. Go ahead, Rob.
For the previous
Out.
speaker, for the previous speaker who asked about what could be done, just want to remind everybody that we're going to undertake another comprehensive plan. And in the comprehensive plan, there's various elements that are taken up, including build out. And the last time we did a comprehensive plan, we had a build out of a certain amount of properties by right under current zoning. And we then changed zoning to make it more restrictive so that it became more difficult to build. There's only a certain limit that you can take that to, though, otherwise the state and the courts will intervene. The courts have a great deal to say about what's proper with zoning that you have to have in place before anything goes on. But participate in the comprehensive plan. It worked very well last time, and I suspect it'll work as well this time around too. Thank you.
Well, all right. Thank you for that plug for the comprehensive plan. Let's see. Is Lisa's audio sorted out? Lisa, you want to try again?
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And you may need to stay close to the microphone. Sometimes they have a filtering thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm at work, and my connection may not be great. I am at 150 Middle Street. I am not in a butter, but I have knowledge of this field, driven by it for over 30 years, and I have also enjoyed the vistas. One comment I wanted to make, and I think it's in regards, I think it was Mr. Cook made the comment that, you know, one of the things that the planning board takes into account is the neighbors and the neighborhood and how it might affect that. And I think this particular property, particularly because it is on Middle Street, is actually bigger than the neighborhood. Having lived on Middle Street for a lot of years, I can tell you there are so many people who use Middle Street as a walking route, a biking route. It is a scenic byway, and it is the other road in town that goes north to south and is, you know, a continuous road right into the other towns. So it's used quite a bit. And one thing we tried to save a field that was next to our house a number of years ago, and it didn't work out. And we have, you know, 3 large houses there. So between Kimball and Ash. So somebody could take a look at that and see what this might be like. That, it's really important that we save our vistas. And it sounds like that's not going to happen on this parcel, but I am hoping that we can reduce the impact as much as possible, and that the planning board will take that into consideration, that, it's beautiful to have all this open space that we have and conservation land, but a lot of it is tucked behind areas and tucked behind roads, and it's not easily all accessible, or certainly you can't see it easily. And these vistas are disappearing. We actually, when we were trying to save the field, we did a survey, and there are very few of them left, especially on roads like this where so many people drive and bike and walk their dogs. And, it would be very sad to impact it more than we have to. The other thing I want to say is, I've watched in the last couple of years as people get very frustrated every time something's being built, and I understand it. And I also understand that people own property and want to make the maximum amount of money when they sell it. But I feel like, and this is, I guess, specifically to the planning board, that we almost have a directive or a mandate from the residents of this town to change something. And, maybe we're too late on this one. Maybe we can affect it minimally, but maybe going forward, and I'm assuming this is something the planning board would bring forward, but a bylaw that maybe does change and limit some of this building. I think the town would be very receptive to it. Maybe they haven't in the past, I don't remember, but I feel like the town is looking for guidance on this and help on this. And I'm hoping that the planning board can provide that for the town, and maybe bring forward a bylaw for the next town meeting or the one after that, that can somehow address all these concerns and limit the building in the future. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you. That's very thoughtful input. I appreciate that. Something we'll have to work
Diana
on.
has her hand up.
All right, Diana, that's right. We were going to get to you. Sorry about that.
Hi, thank you. Building on the Vista concept, I just want to be clear that from where I sit, I have a relationship with that antique house across the way from me that I will no longer have. I will not have a view of that house because of that third building. And again, if we're just talking about vistas, it's a two-way vista. And as a resident, my vista will be changed. And I understand that they have a right to build, but 2 lots is different than 3. And that it's cramming that third one in. If they had gone with their 400 feet of frontage, we're going to build 2 houses, we wouldn't be here talking about this. They would have just done it, much like what happened on Middle Street, where they had the frontage. And we didn't have to, and there wasn't as much dialogue about it. And so, I do feel like that is sort of the crux of the issue here. And if there were any efforts to preserve the land, having that third sellable lot makes it much more difficult to preserve it. And so that's my last piece, and thank you.
Okay. Brian, did you have a comment?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Any other?
I am not seeing anybody else.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. Believe me, the planning board does appreciate all these comments. These are never easy for us either. I take Lisa's comments to heart, and Rob's about the comprehensive plan as well. When it's time for a wholesale look at things, we really encourage all of you to get involved. You're clearly all very passionate about the way land is used in this town, and we can definitely use all the help we can get. There's an open space and recreation committee. There's, all kinds of boards and commissions that can use your help, and certainly the comprehensive plan will be taking the biggest look that's been taken for quite a while. Planning board members, do you have any other comments before we move on?
No.
All right. Well, the first motion I'm going to make is to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob, you're muted, but I could read your lips. So I
Yes,
think you
right.
said aye.
Yes, that's a definite aye, yes.
Okay.
And by the way, Rob, I think that the state requires you to stay unmuted.
Right, okay.
Probably
Thank
does
you, Ray.
now that we're discussing. Any further discussion among board members now that the public hearing's been closed? Any remarks or anything? Brian?
No, these are all, you know, very valid, certainly comments and concerns, and you know, frankly, things that, you know, we have heard from time to time, and seemingly more frequently over the last 5 years, as land pressures increase in town. Many lots that had been available are subdivided legally without our input, according to regulations under the Commonwealth's laws. And so people see a lot of development, and there frankly is nothing you can do unless you can try to get Beacon Hill to change. And with the MBTA knowledge out there, you know that there will be no reduction of housing opportunities coming from Boston. So it is frustrating. I will say I think this town has done an more than admirable job of purchasing and conserving land when available. The problem for us now is that land has become so expensive that it becomes almost untenable for the town to purchase, and that is there does need to be some creativity, I think, in perhaps carving out. I'm not quite sure what we can carve out from a bylaw to restrict building, because that would be axed in the courts. But there may be something, and perhaps a new willingness to spend more money in town on a parcel that comes up before us. This parcel was not offered to the town, and for whatever reason, the landowner has decided that their better return, perhaps, is going this route, and it's frustrating. For me, I do think that the 3 lots is better than a subdivision that could happen, and frankly would happen, because the landowner has made it clear they want to sell the land for the maximum amount of profit that they can obtain, and that is their right. We may not like it, but that is their right. So I think I've rattled on enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Ray.
I appreciate what Brian just said, and I'm looking at a couple of things. One is what has the least adverse effect on the neighborhood, and I agree with Brian that through a special permit, if we grant it, we can condition these residences to be single-family residences as opposed to duplexes. Now, there was a time when it seemed like people were not building duplexes, but recently we've seen a lot of duplexes built in town. So I think it's a very realistic possibility that if we were to deny this special permit, you'd end up with 4 residential units and the cars and traffic associated with that, as opposed to 3. And also there is the possibility, of course, of a bigger subdivision. And then the other thing that weighs on me is, again, the right of in order for me to vote no on this, I have to have a solid reason why I don't think the applicant has fulfilled the bylaw. And, you know, if I look in this neighborhood, I think I'm seeing lots of reduced frontage lots nearby. So then the question becomes why we're turning down this application when in the past we've allowed lots of other reduced frontage lots in the immediate vicinity. So that's my little bit.
Okay, thank you. Rob, anything on your part?
Nope.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I think we've heard a lot of thoughtful input tonight. I am going to make a motion. Let me describe to everyone how this works. This is a special permit these are special permits requiring a supermajority vote, which is 4 out of 5 members. One of our members is recused, so all 4 members who are voting would have to agree for this to be passed. I'm going to make the motion as follows regarding a parcel owned by Ellen Thurlow, known as 0 Middle Street, Assessor's Map R15, Lot 79. I move in a single motion that the Planning Board approve a special permit for reduced frontage lots, a special permit for common driveway, and the application for scenic road permit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Brian?
Just wonder, should we make a note of the with associated conditions as discussed? Or something
I'll
to
accept that as a friendly amendment, yes. With the conditions as discussed in the entire public hearing, which is
Correct.
all meetings.
So just to recap those conditions, that these would be single-family residences,
Yes.
and that the back parcel would be would have some sort of conservation restriction on it, or would be conveyed to a party to restrict it, as described by Councilor Mead earlier.
Yes, and finally, that no A&R plan will be endorsed by this board until the condition on the open space parcel has been met.
Also, in your motion, you mentioned and a scenic road permit, but I think what you're saying there is that we find that this application meets the scenic road requirements with respect to shade trees and stone walls.
Okay, well, I thought that was implicit in the scenic roads permit, but we'll accept that.
Just to be clear, though,
Yes,
so we got the
that's-
common driveway, we've
Yes.
got the scenic road requirements. Okay,
And the reduced frontage lots.
yes, good.
All right. All right. All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
All right, the vote passes by a vote of 4-0. These permissions have all been granted. We have a draft decision that we will be crafting, and if need be, we'll get the planner to work with Lisa Mead to pin down some of the wording. But I think basically we know what we will be including in that. And hopefully we'll have that ready to sign at our next meeting on September 2nd.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everybody's time and thoughtful comments.
All right. Any other comments from the board before we resume our agenda?
I just truly appreciate people coming out and speaking tonight. It's refreshing to hear and to see participation, and we look forward to further discussions about these matters moving forward.
Here, I agree with Brian. So happy that there is such a level of interest, and we hope that you'll all remain involved. And we'll try to get the ship of state moving in a direction that is in the best interest of people in town.
And thank you, Councilor Mead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So the next item on the agenda is a public hearing on 381 Main Street, Town of West Newbury, pickleball court site plan review application. And the last session of this hearing took place at the August 5th meeting. I was not at that meeting, but I have watched the video recording of it, and I did file a Mullins statement, whatever the technical term for that is, attesting that I had done so. I know Angus Jennings, the town manager, who's been spearheading this on behalf of the town, is here tonight. I think there are a few items of new input. I think we're getting there. As I recall, as I listened to the recording of the meeting, there are some open questions regarding sign locations and general guidelines for the contents of the sign. There was some discussion about the path location and a little bit more talk about parking. Angus, without revisiting too much old ground, do you want to let us know what the updates are, please?
So Rich Williams here is to represent the application. So Rich is going to feel
all
that,
right.
obviously happy to answer any follow-up questions, but he's representing the application.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Williams, what do you have to report since our last session of the hearing?
We did submit a revised plan, and the plan that's up on the screen is not the latest plan, but I can share my screen to
yes,
to take you through the few changes that were made to the latest plan.
All right. Ray, you want to do that handoff to the engineer?
I think I am doing the handoff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you all see that screen?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, wait, no, maybe not.
It's there. We're going to get you to look at a different screen.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Excuse me.
All right, so what are the changes since the
So
last?
three minor changes to the plan are, one was we added the footing detail for the fence post.
Thank you.
The footing. What's that?
I said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We also talked with the building inspector who's satisfied with that detail. It's a 12-inch diameter, 24 inches deep, and 6 inches below the surface. Concrete footing. Secondly, we added the location and size of the signage. Signage will be posted, I'll zoom up a little bit, in this location on the fence. Two signs, one for court policies, hours, and a QR code for reserving the court, and another 18 by 24 sign with instructions for primary and backup parking, and the request will be for people to park away from this parking if they are able to do that. The third change was the location of the path. The Conservation Commission asked if we could move it further. They were at the last meeting, and I basically laid out what the location would be if we did that, and stayed on the wetland side of these two trees, and that is the location. It's the same material and width, but just slid over towards the playground and away from the wetland.
Thank you for
Those are
that.
the changes to the plan.
All right, thank you. Board members, questions?
I have a question.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Brian popped his hand up really quickly. Just a second.
Well, I think the signage location is fine, but I really think it would be better served at the beginning of the little path than on the fence. By the time you park and walk to the fence, you know, if you're able-bodied, you've already parked in the Action Cove lot. And I get that maybe after they go there 3 or 4 times, they'll get the idea, but couldn't it be in both places?
What would be the other place, Brian? I'm sorry.
Well, at the beginning of the little path.
I see, yeah. Well, arguably by the
Yeah,
time.
I think once you go there once, you'll have it. And I'm guessing that'll be regular users. But they could be in 2 places, I guess.
Question, you note on your plan here, handicap parking signage. Is that proposed or existing?
It's proposed. There is handicap signage here now.
Yes.
But there are 2 signs for 2 spaces. So one of those will be removed and moved over to the head of the path for the pickleball court.
Gotcha. So if you're kind of putting a sign there, anyway, maybe it wouldn't be that much extra effort to include a extra couple of signs there. It's not going to make or break my opinion on this, but seems reasonable.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Angus on that if that's satisfactory.
That would be very reasonable. No objection to that.
So are you suggesting, Ray, that you do on the same pole as the handicap parking sign, the information about the 2 parking options? Or both signs?
I think that Angus and the Department of Public Works can determine the best way of providing the signage. I'm
Okay.
just saying, since they're going to be mucking about putting up a sign there anyway, it doesn't strike me as a big deal to add a sign or either the same signpost or a separate sign.
Yeah.
I trust our people to do something well there.
Okay, yeah, I guess I would like to at least, I would still keep the signs on the fence because you might not arrive down that path from that parking lot.
Right.
You might
Right.
arrive another way, so
You need it both places.
yeah, I think you need it in both. But our concern on this, and I think we've all gone back and forth enough with this to realize that the planning board's interest in signage is as it regards traffic, which is actually called out in site plan review as vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian. So we're just trying to keep people and things moving around the site in a way that makes sense and to give them the information they need to get where they need to be. The specific details, I think, can be left up to some discretion of Parks and Rec and those who are in charge of the site. Same thing with the hours and so forth. It's my concern about the hours is really insofar as it concerns noise. So I think since noise has been raised as a prime issue here, and it's certainly part of the public interest to minimize noise, our interest is in knowing that there are hours that are clear and that gives us some enforcement potential, if nothing else, to say you're out of bounds here. It's 9 o'clock at night. Quit playing pickleball. But again, as far as which hours, I think we can leave that up to Parks and Rec. And usage may change over time. I don't think that's something that the planning board needs to get involved in if they decide to tweak their hours. It's their project and their site to control.
Here, here. But I would like to once again reiterate that I really appreciate the lengths to which they're going to minimize the noise with all this acoustic fence. That's fantastic, and the hours. And I also am grateful that they're encouraging able-bodied people to park in the more distant parking lot. And I'm guessing that Parks and Rec and Angus can sort of reassure me that sometime in the future they'll look at improving that walkway.
Which walkway?
Well, they'll improve the means to go from the more distant parking lot
Right.
to this area.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not part of this site plan review, but I just would like that reassurance. I saw Angus nod, so.
Right.
Yeah, we had discussed having a separate list of recommendations apart from whatever we do on the site plan review.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that the planning board will, in the quite near future, but not as part of any decision here, write a memo to Parks and Rec and copy all the other interested parties in town, that, you know, this is a great project and in the interests of safety and usability and all those good things, we'll be looking for them to develop this site in a way that makes it even more usable and even, you know, more safe, whatever we decide to say.
Including the fact that parking is constrained down around Action Cove even now as we speak, ahead of pickleball being built, and therefore we should pay some attention to that in the future.
Right, but we'll work on the wording for all that.
Yes, exactly, right.
My question about the path is this, and I'm really not trying to cause trouble. If the Conservation Commission approved it in a different location, how do we want to handle that?
They haven't closed the hearing. We did submit the revised plan, and we expect them to approve it in the location that you folks are approving it in.
Oh, perfect. I didn't realize that. All right, I see Rob has a comment.
Yeah, and related to that path, I wanted to ask Rich, is there anything you can do in installing that path to try and protect the two existing, I think they're oak trees? I'd really like to think that we can figure out a way to not end up, you know, distressing those two trees.
I think they'll be fine because of the limited depth of the stone dust. It's not a very deep construction.
Good, thank you.
And that root system,
Yep.
You know, we'll the best way to do it is to move it away from the trees, but we were asked to move it closer to the trees. I think we're as close as we safely can go. And that's the reason I didn't go right up to the trunk, but we should be good.
Yeah. So I would just recommend maybe, you know, some protection to the trees. You see the wraps and stuff, but also just make sure, you know, when you're doing some oversight, see if they can't be as gentle as they can be around those trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
Right, and when you go to the Conservation Commission, ask them to weigh in too on the, you know, wetlands versus trees. Try to make their best shot.
It's a little bit ironic that you know, we may pay more attention to the wetlands than is necessary and less to the trees. Yeah.
I think Ray has a comment.
Just that I briefly, I think I saw Brad Busher raise his hand for a comment, but then he put it down. So I don't know if he wants to speak.
Okay. Well, let's see. Are there any more board members who have questions for the engineer before we move on to the public? Yeah, I'm glad to do that when we do. Brad, if you're there and still have a question, you're recognized. Not hearing anything.
Not saying anything either, Ann.
All right.
Sorry. Just trying to figure out how to operate Zoom on my phone.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy.
But I'm glad I'm in. Brad Busher, 347 Main Street.
Yep.
You know, I've tried. I'm coming off the bench here. Been watching this from the sidelines, and you know, I believe the proposed pathway right away is a missed opportunity for the project to address broader issues within the park. Why not bring the path along the toe of the slope along the baseball diamond by the playground to intersect with a path along the soccer field fence line? While this path is longer than what is proposed, a strong case can be made to phase in formalizing the desire line between the snack shack, the playground, the basketball court, and the proposed pickleball court. The town's investment does nothing to address the overall circulation challenges within the park. I see this current right-of-way as more about cost efficiency than placemaking. Let's transform this space into a great park by thinking about it holistically rather than just how to connect a parking lot to a pickleball court.
Brad, you're echoing conversations that we've had in previous meetings.
Music to my ears, Brad.
Yeah,
Yes.
we all agree with you. At this point, we are looking at the application before us, but we have discussed at some length and do not intend to let go the fact that we really would like Parks and Rec and the town to some extent too, to look at this entire recreational facility as a town amenity that needs to holistically address issues of circulation, et cetera, et cetera.
To
Rob?
offset
Yes,
the
so,
current path.
excuse me 1 second. Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was recognized.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
So thank you very much, Ann. So again, as everybody else did, what you said, Brad, is exactly spot on. But we've already agreed as to how we're approaching the application. And what you raise is something that I know that is supported by the current Park and Rec board, and I'm sure Angus and the Park and Rec people will take up your well done recommendation. We endorse it, and it's clearly the next step that will be taken up on this site. Thank you.
All right, Brad, did you want to continue? Sorry, we're jumping in on top of you.
Just trying to read between the lines of what Rob and others are saying. I mean, I'm embarrassed for the town to bring this plan forward. It's not about creating great parks. It's simply you know, a bad design. More thought is being placed into acoustics than creating a park. Yeah,
Again,
it's
so we're
weird. I'm
agreeing,
embarrassed that
Brad.
this is where we are. I'm really embarrassed that this is I walk through this and it's just like, how can you like pay somebody to change this path alignment, to move it higher in the site? Yeah, it's out of the soggy area that you had proposed it before. The engineers proposed original design. You couldn't even use it 6 months out of the year. It was like, it's just bad design. And I'm embarrassed that this is where we are. We have one park in town. Get it right.
Okay, but not really something that is part of what we can address under this current application, I don't think. I think those comments are better directed to Park and Rec. The site was chosen through a process that was not anything that we had any input on or control over. Board members? Anything else? Yes, Rob?
No, again, agreeing with Brad fully, but it's not what we're being presented with, and we've long since discussed how we're going to handle the aspects of what Brad is talking about. So I think we need to put this part of the discussion to rest and move on to the business at hand.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I mean, I really think Brad makes a lot of sense with this, and you know, we had pushback that well, no, this, you know, those other elements we identified early on of a far better connection to the main parking area through the snack shack is really the way to go. That keeps Action Cove playground area for those with the little ones that want to use it, and to some degree the basketball area. I'm just, you know, wondering, you know, I don't know how much money is being spent on this pathway, but would it be better to just, you know, ask Angus and the Park and Rec to bring forward a proposal at fall town meeting for additional funds to do, as Brad says, to get it right, and because I don't think it's a ton more money, but that'd be my only recommendation, and we can't tell the town the town to do that, but I think I agree. That's the right thing to do. And if the town wants to take our recommendation that that's what they should do, so be it. But I hope they're listening and to this.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Yes, Brad also used the term holistic. I would ask everybody to understand that, for instance, Action Cove probably needs to be redone in some fashion. The path we're talking about probably will never change. The path that was discussed coming down from the ballpark, ball field parking, that may be dependent, the best avenue may be dependent upon what we end up doing with Action Cove. I would again ask that we remain on track for what's in front of us. Angus is sitting here listening. He's got the drift. To talk about being done in time for fall, it ain't going to happen. Brad's exactly right. Let's do it. I'm sure we'll have the support of Park and Rec, but let's make sure that we're looking at it holistically. That's the most important thing. You may find that things change if you look at the entirety of the layout and the current usage and what might be the best holistic solution. Thank you.
Yes, Ray?
I just want to, I second a lot of what's being said here, but Brian, I think you still need this path. I just want to make sure you weren't implying that instead of spending money on this path, you do the other path. I think you still need. Yeah.
No,
you can push into this. Yeah.
I hear you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's move along.
Yeah, my position is that if this is going to be where the pickleball court is, that's the most serious investment financially and so forth. This path, you know, it's possible that during the school day, for instance, there will be folks who come to play pickleball when the playground is used by a few preschoolers on a Wednesday morning who are there with a grandparent, but it still is pretty efficient for the pickleball folks to park there when there is parking available. And Brian, if at the end of the day there's a master plan that changes all of that, then a stone dust path is pretty easily just left to not be used. You know, it's not hugely impactful or needing to be removed or anything like that.
To be very clear, we all recognize that parking there is an issue currently, and that this is going to add to that burden. So that will be taken up in due time, I am certain.
Brian?
I see Douglas Mead has his hand up.
Oh, okay. Yes, Doug Mead, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Doug Mead, 25 Bachelor Street. So just to kind of piggyback on what's being said, this was all secured from, I just wanted everyone to remember how the funding was secured, and that was through CPA funds. And it was not, this was not a plan that the Parks and Recreation Commission sought out. This was something that the town did the legwork on to find a feasible site. And therefore, we're sort of, as Parks and Rec Commission, the care and custody of the land. We're trying to accommodate what the voters voted for, which was the approval of a pickleball court site, and then also make it accommodating for ADA compliance, but also for future, like to Brad's point with pathways. So it's not like we as Park and Rec had this master plan of introducing the pickleball court at the site, and we had more time to suss out better access. So we're trying to balance what we've heard from the town folk at some of our meetings. The best attended meetings at Parks and Rec have been anything related to pickleball. We go from just having the 3 commissioners to having 30 people in the room. So it very much is wanted by the town. So we're trying our best to allow this project to move forward and land that's under our care and custody, while also accommodating future plans where we really don't have a master plan yet. So we're kind of playing catch up. I understand, appreciate Brad's point of like, get it right. That's what we're trying to do. I had mentioned at a Parks and Rec meeting back in June about wanting to replace Action Cove and what that looks like. So there's a lot of moving parts. Rob and I have talked offline about some stuff, and so like we are very aware of access and parking and really wanting to get things right for the future. So I just want everyone that's logged in tonight that hasn't logged in previously to hear that from me as the chair. Then also just reiterate things to you folks on the planning board.
Great, very helpful. I see there is a comment in the chat from Brad, and I will read it. Let's see. It says, the commission, by which I think he means Parks and Rec, attempted to secure funds for a master plan for the park, but the CPC declined to advance this effort. So I would say maybe it's time for whoever to try again, but that's not something we can really, comment further on, I don't believe. Except to understand that everyone agrees it's needed. All right, any more discussion? Anyone else from the public with comments? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'm going to once again make a motion. I move that we approve the application for site plan review.
Excuse me, Ann,
Yes.
do we close?
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Do we
forgot.
close
Thank
the public?
you for the, yes, thank you for the reminder. I did it once, but I forgot to do it this time.
Yeah.
My first motion is to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Deb. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Great, thank you. All right, now that we're all squared away, I move to approve the application for site plan review for pickleball courts located at 15 Bachelor Street, Assessor's Map R14, Parcel 3B.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Vote is 5-0 in favor. The motion passes. All right. Once again, we have our new planner who will be coming on board on Monday. We have a draft decision that we can use to build off of, and we'll be crafting that. And I see that Rob has a comment.
We should be thinking about getting on our next meeting the comments that we're going to make to the town about the master plan that's been referred to, the long overdue, much needed master plan that would attend to some of the issues that have come up on this review and others that have been raised related to that whole area.
Yes, indeed. We'll certainly put it on an agenda. Might as well put it on the one for the next meeting, and if we have to carry things forward, we'll carry them forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Boy, I've turned the page. We're on item number 4 of our agenda, general business.
Thank you for your time. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. You're very welcome.
Thank you,
sir.
Rich.
I'm going to take things out of order. I would like to move in general business to item D, administrative details, associate member. The rules and regs or bylaws or something, I don't have the citation in front of me, request that we submit a minimum of 2 names to the select board as potential associate members of the planning board. We have 1 associate member allowed, and we have been without one for a while now. We don't make the selection. That's up to the select board, but we have received 2 interested parties. One is Timothy Cronin and the other is Stephen Swallow. Folks who listen to our meetings know that Tim Cronin was a member of the planning board for a number of years, chose not to seek re-election this past May, but has put himself forward as interested in serving as an associate. And Mr. Swallow has indicated the same interest. So I just want to bring those names up to the public and ask if any board members have any comments before we forward those to the select board.
We're actually limited to just supplying 2 names, and we have 2 names. And
Right.
so I think this is kind of going to go on without much discussion because that's all we're allowed to do.
No, that's right. I'm just wondering if anyone has any comments.
Yep. Well, that's my comment. We're only
All right.
allowed to do that. And then I would remind everybody that oddly enough, under the rules as set, the appointment isn't immediate. There's a 30-day cooling off period or some such thing.
Well, I trust the select board will take our recommendations and make a wise selection.
Yes,
I'm,
indeed.
I'm glad that we've got two names to forward to the select board.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yep.
we will make sure that that Jen takes care of that.
I'll make it
Tomorrow.
formal. I
Oh.
move that we submit both of these names to the select board as potential associate member to the planning board.
All right, very official. Second, anyone?
I second that.
All right, everyone seconds it. Deb and Brian. All in favor of forwarding these two names to the select board? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
All right, it's unanimous. We'll forward those names ASAP. All right, and again, I'm gonna push.
Not,
Angus?
but just for those who might be curious on the board, it's the zoning section 11.2.2 that sets out that the board would provide the select board a nomination of list of no less than 2 names at least 30 days prior to an appointment. So I kind of agree with the comment that I think was implicit in Rob's comment that that's like weird. But that is what
That is the weirdest
I want
thing.
everyone to know that what the action the board just took is exactly what the zoning bylaw requires.
Yes.
There is no
Thank
set requirement in state law, so if that is something you want to revisit in the future, you certainly could do that through a amendment at town meeting.
Right.
It seems like this has been working fine for years, so.
Yeah, it's just the 30 days.
No, the 30 days, Ray.
The
30
30
days
day
days.
thing is,
There's no sense
Yeah.
in it.
we should
No.
revisit that.
We'll revisit that. That'll be
Yeah.
on our
Put it
long
on the
list.
agenda.
We have a long revisit list, don't
New
we?
planner, put it on his list.
Exactly. He's going to be snowed under by this. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So let's see what looks the most critical. Let's just presume that item 4, general business, the first item is minutes of July 15th. Ray, are you able to share those minutes? with us?
I'm
Thank you.
hustling here. Let's see if I can find them.
You are. There we go. Thank you.
And
Quite
then
tiny.
let me switch this screen over here, and that allows me to zoom things over here.
Great. Thank you.
Is that zoomed in enough?
It is for me. Hope it is for others. I didn't see too many things. There was something in the first big paragraph. A little over halfway down, Williams stated entrances will be on the southern and western sides of the court area. That's incorrect. It should be the southern and northern sides.
Here.
And it was described that way. So is that a change that, are you able to make that change? Or do I need to? So that you
I
can-
don't know if I can make
Excuse me,
that
Ann.
change.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, it may be that he said exactly that, and then there's certain things that,
yeah.
for instance, he said gravel, and now it's stone dust. So are
Yeah.
we correcting
I
what
think
they
it-
ended up? Or did he say
No, I
that?
think it was southern and northern because they've always been opposite one
Because
another.
the courts run that.
Talked about the alignment of the courts and
Yeah.
Okay.
But
they had to line
I
up.
understand what Rob is saying here. I mean, if he
So do
missed,
I, but I think that is an error in the,
Okay.
I can
fine.
ask her to check the recording if you want.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if it's what we should only make it be what he said, even if what he said is incorrect. That's my point.
I understand.
Thank you.
And I did not check the recording. Okay. Have people had a chance to look at this? Do you have comments you've already identified that you'd like to change? Let's move along to the lower part of page 1, just in case.
yes, there you go.
Mm.
Right, top of page 2.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the whole page. Maybe the size is too big or something. Let's see what I can do.
Yeah, well, on my screen, it's
Scroll
about
down.
a half a page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can you scroll down on page 1?
Oh, well, this is page 1.
Yeah, can you scroll down? I haven't seen the rest of it. I'm not seeing all of it. Am I being clear in my question?
Are you not, so this is the bottom of page 1?
No. we're
No,
at
it's
the
not
bottom.
scrolling. What I see is just fixed.
Oh,
No scrolling is happening.
when in doubt, reboot. Turn
Yeah,
off,
there you
turn
go.
back on. Let's see if that works.
There we go. All right. That's great.
Yep, now we see. Yep.
Thank you.
Is it scrolling?
It
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, there we go.
Anything on the rest of page 1 before we scroll some more?
Top of page 2.
Okay. I did notice that I think they increased the height of the fence on the west side to keep balls from going into the wetlands, and I think it'll help the noise more for daily drive too, so I'm actually pretty happy about that.
I think it will.
Anyway, that's just an aside, nothing in the minutes. Do you want to keep scrolling?
Sure.
Okay, continued. A&R, okay.
Yeah.
This is, I know, Rob, you had asked that your statement about the MBTA working group be entered into the minutes, and I think that she took whatever you sent her, and that appears here. Do you have any comments on that, or?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right. Let's just scroll through that then. Housing production plan, we took that vote. More updates. Okay. All right, motion to approve the minutes of July 15th with one slight correction that I will confirm.
So
Second.
moved.
All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
All right, thank you all. Motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda, MBTA working group update. Anything to report?
We've had no activity since the last report, so I have nothing to report. Obviously, we're waiting with bated breath on the state's response to our submission of 3 land lots to them. And I presume then we'll take it up, analyze, send along to the select board for their decision.
Okay. How are we doing on the timeline then for, there has to be a public.
This is
hearing
not,
and stuff?
this is not, we're not, this isn't outside of what we were expecting. So
Okay.
there's nothing indicating the state that I know of. Again, we haven't met. I haven't been informed that we're thinking that things are going to be different than what we were expecting.
Okay, fine. Yes, Ray?
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
So there's 3 zones have been proposed and the state's reviewing those, correct?
Yep.
And 2 of the 3 are town-owned land and.
Well, two of the 3 are either town-owned or housing authority owned. And
Okay.
one is private to the Society of St. John, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. I was thinking about that, and back before all this, back before Springtown meeting vote, long before that, it was my understanding that the consultants told us that town-owned land would be impractical because of a number of things that would have to happen. So obviously that's changed.
Yes, if I could, Ray, the discussions that we had before were with a lot of misunderstandings, not really realizing what the rules of the road were. We've since engaged Merrimack Valley Planning. Ian is working on. I'm sorry, what?
No,
All right.
I'm happy for Rob to finish, but I definitely would like to.
Yeah, Angus is going to want to speak to this too. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Well, go ahead, Angus. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Rob, I actually don't agree with what you said, but that's fine. So
Agree with what?
agree with the fact that there was a misunderstanding the prior time.
We had a lot of things
Let me make the point. Sorry, I shouldn't have led with saying I disagree with you. That's not a politic thing to do. But if I could just speak directly to Ray's point, the regulations provide that town-owned land can be an eligible site if it is included in a housing production plan. A. B, it says that land owned by a housing authority is also eligible. So nothing that was said a year ago about the idea of land, public land that does not fall into one of those categories is different than what was said, 16 months ago. So I just wanted to make that point.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. If I could.
Mhm.
The discussions of what we could deal with became better known after we engaged Merrimack Valley Planning, and Ian took us through it. We, for instance, found out that
with Dodson and Flinker, we were getting very good advice, Rob. I think we were getting very good advice, and I think the advice was correct and is not inconsistent with what Ian has said.
No,
okay. I'm just 16 months ago, it was my impression, my understanding then was
yes,
that you could do town-owned land, but that it would be logistically prohibitive. And therefore we were looking, and they recommended when they were going through their parcel analysis, they avoided the town-owned land at that time. So I was just curious.
yes, you're exactly right, Ray.
Okay.
You're exactly right. We avoided it because we had a different understanding than we have right now. That's correct.
Okay. And then land owned by a church organization.
We got clarification on that too later from Ian, and that was limited to where they practice their religion. It was not
I was just
to
going to
all the land they
suggest.
owned. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the difference there. You couldn't do it on a church lot, but if the church owns a different lot, then that's fair game.
Yeah, so all three of these have been
Well, we'll
pre-vetted.
No, that's good.
Yep.
I'm not challenging that these lots aren't good lots to bring forward.
Right.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
understand.
it was a change. Ray, you're exactly right. We all had misunderstandings about which lots we could take up. I cannot stress that strongly enough. That's right.
That's
You're
good.
exactly
Well,
right.
if I could just sort of wrap this up in the interest of getting to other business.
Yes, let's get on to other stuff.
Given where we are today, we will soon know what the state has
Yes.
to say about these three parcels.
Exactly.
And then we will move on accordingly. And my
Yes.
question only had really, not
Hey,
that you're
actually, Ann, if I could, I wanted to respond you said something right at the beginning that I wanted to respond to, and then so you had asked about the timing.
Yes, that's
Just
what
wanted
I'm concerned about.
Yeah, no, Rob's exactly right. Like everyone's known, it's going to be a real tight timeline because it all hinges on the state's pre-adoption consideration. But as you know, a bylaw amendment has to be referred to the planning board at least 65 days prior to town meeting. So the planning board has enough time to hold its hearing. A planning board, let's say a bylaw is amended 60 days before town meeting. A planning board can hold a hearing and it can still comply with the 40A process. But in order to ensure no procedural defect, it has to be referred for hearing 65 days prior to town meeting. So with town meeting on November 3rd, that 65 days goes back to August 30th. So in order for, so the goal would be to hear from the state any day now, so that the select board can timely make a referral. But I just want to restate something I said a minute ago. Let's say the select board can't make a referral until let's say it's November or it's September 4th meeting. That's less than 65 days. Under state law, the planning board could still go ahead and have a hearing, which I expect it would. But the planning board could also not have a hearing and the bylaw would be rejected by the AG. So that 65 days is an important date, but it's not an absolute showstopper if it can't be met.
Can you make the referral, you know, sort of preemptively, to make the referral with the, you know, presumption that the state will approve it, and thereby kind of like,
I think the select board, I mean, in my opinion, the select board could consider that. I think that would be dicey because so much of the public consideration, and I think the planning board's consideration is going to be, is the location the right
Site
location?
specific.
So I think referring something before the select board knows if it's eligible, I think would be fraught.
Okay, well, this is all speculative at this point.
Right.
We have 11 days before it's August 30th, so I think we just let the process work and we'll take it one step at a time. All right,
Thank
MVPC, I think, Brian, you have no updates because they're still on vacation, is that correct?
Well, yeah, let me say, they're not on vacation. The commissioners are on vacation.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean, it's the summer recess for the commission meetings.
got it.
MVPC is hard at work every day of the week.
Okay, yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
You haven't been to a meeting to get an update. But... All right, well, you can tell it's after 9 p.m. I'm starting to lose the edge a little bit here. Deb, Affordable Housing Trust, anything to report from that group?
I don't think so. Of course, I'm sitting here looking at Wendy, who chairs the group, and she may have a different opinion. Do we have anything to report?
No, we haven't met in a couple months.
Okay, great, thank you. The next item is town planner update. As you've all been notified, our new town planner's name is Christopher Riley. He'll be starting on Monday, August 25th. He was in last week for a little soft start onboarding, figuring his way around the office. I had a chance to speak with him then, and I know Jen was working with him then, and Angus as well. So that's the start date. The hours are something that I would like to discuss with the board. I believe as a matter of policy, the board can make input on matters like that. And I would like to make a strong recommendation that this is a part-time job, 28 hours a week, and you need to allow for the 2 evening meetings every month. I think everyone has agreed that this person won't work on Fridays, but I would really like to see some coverage in the office the other 4 days of the week, even if 1 or 2 of them are shorter days. Particularly trying to get them to align as much as possible with other, shall we say, land use offices. So an 8 a.m. start, kind of typical construction-ish land use kind of hours. You know, the details can be worked out, but I think our interest is in having, my interest is in 2 things: as much access for the public as possible with a quite regular schedule so that it's not terribly hard to keep track of. And secondly, a good overlap with other land use offices. Anybody else have any thoughts about that?
I think that makes sense. But I'd like, you know, if he's got any particular need, I'd like to think that we could be flexible.
Yes.
Like,
Well, one
you
of the
know, like
particular needs that was,
Tuesdays, if
yeah.
Tuesdays he wanted to come in at 9 instead of 8 or something like that, you know.
Right. Yes, I think we can certainly be flexible. I know even in the interview process, he was quite happy to say that Fridays were a day that he needs to reserve for some other obligations. So,
And where does he,
excuse me, Deb?
where does he live?
He lives in Marblehead.
Marblehead. Okay, that's a good commute.
Well,
By the
you
way,
know, yeah.
Thank you, Angus, and presumably Wendy and the select board for finding us a new town planner quickly.
No, that was Ann and Angus.
The
Well,
Ann
then-
and Angus show.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Angus, do you want to weigh in on that, or is this something you and I can do offline?
No, you know, you and I have had a couple of conversations, and yeah, yeah, I think we'll keep talking next week. So
Okay.
I think yeah, he'll be in Monday. I'm out, as you know, all of next week, so he and I will meet the following week. But that was part of why he had been clear from the outset that this current week was not when he was available. So I had put in yesterday as a start date in the offer letter, and he said, "How about the 25th?" And I said, "Well, I'm okay the 25th, except I'm out that week." So he came in 3 days last week, and like Ann said, for kind of get oriented, get set up with IT tech, username, password, all that. Met with Jen, so forth. So definitely part of his initial time in the job is going to be reaching out, meeting with each of you for as much time as you can give him. I told him that's going to be the single best way to kind of build a rapport with the board and understand what your objectives are. So I think I can speak for Ann to say we were both really delighted with him as a candidate, and I think he's going to do a terrific job for the town.
Great.
Thank you.
I'd like to make my offer as I did with the last two planners, that taking them on a drive to see every corner of the town is what I'm best at. So I'm happy to do that.
I think that's a great offer. All right. Well, we'll get everything squared away. I'm very optimistic about this. The last item is the report on the Select Board's August 14th meeting about priorities. I attended that meeting. I don't know if any of you were there. It was a hybrid meeting. And I think we have forwarded this slide deck that Wendy distributed after that to everyone. The planning, how can I say this? It's a kind of a nerdy document. I'll just say it. I mean, it's laying out kind of work plans for all kinds of people and all kinds of groups and boards and committees. And it's broken down into categories as kind of infrastructure and then policy and other topics. So I urge you to look at it. And I think it's the kind of thing that we should have discussions of in the future, to talk about how our priorities do or don't align with those of the select board. Wendy, do you want to say any more specific about that tonight, or?
Well, I mean, the overall objective is to just give Angus direction to manage town staff. So I think there is a direct relationship with the planning board. If you have like non-permitting initiatives that you're interested, it would be good for us to put those on the work plan so that we can allocate, town staff hours.
Okay, good. Well,
And I'll just comment that the document is overwhelming, and
is that bad or good?
No, it's just respect to the select board with the number of things that you guys and Angus that you guys have to deal with. It's a long list.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, when you break down everything that needs to be accomplished in town, it looks daunting, but fortunately we have lots of people to do it, and lots of talented department heads and so forth, and a good active volunteer base. So I think we'll get it all done. But all right, I'll put that on a future agenda. I think initiatives, things like, well, I don't know, these memos to the Parks and Rec about master planning potential and comprehensive plan, which is something that the new planner is quite excited about and has experience with, and all those kinds of things will be part of that. Other zoning, investigating potential changes to the zoning bylaw, having a fresh set of eyes on rules and regs, seeing ways we might be able to streamline that, all those things. But we'll pin it down and make our own laundry list. I don't know if any correspondence was received. Jen had to be out of the office today. I'm not sure that correspondence rose to the level of something that Angus would receive.
Yeah. So I had worked with Jen. She was so she had set her auto reply today so that anyone who sent her an email today would have gotten an auto response saying she was out of the office, and to please forward whatever the correspondence was to Rebecca in my office. And Rebecca did not receive any emails today, and I checked her email as recently as right at 7 p.m., right when your meeting was started, just in case there was anything relevant to either of the hearings tonight. And there were no emails that came in today.
Okay, thank you very much. Administrative details. This was placed on the agenda when I wasn't there, I guess on August 5th. Discussion regarding setting times for public hearings. Does someone have a bee in their bonnet about that?
I think it was just that something about the start time. It was too close to 7.
Right. We ran into an issue. I think this might have been Brian commenting on the fact that we had empty air at that meeting when the we said too long a spread, right? So when Lisa begged off from her public hearing, we then had nothing to go to, so we had empty air.
Oh, I see.
I think that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think you resolved it tonight in the fashion that we did.
Okay, well, we'll try to attend to our agendas in the future to avoid that happening.
Yep.
And hopefully get more than an hour's notice from an applicant when they want to continue. Placement of items for future agendas. Here we go. Dark skies. I understand that there's an interest in that. I didn't see anything in writing, but that may be
we
lost in the cracks somewhere.
Yeah, so that was Nancy Powell, who's one of the people that works on this, and then of course there's Rick and Chip who work on aspects related to this. She initiated. She wanted to come in and basically have a discussion with us, like Carol Decker did about native plants. So that was just a request to get her some time so she could come in and have a discussion with us about what dark skies is leading to. And I think Rick and Chip are both kind of coattailing on that as well.
Okay, yeah, well, I think Rick and Chip and the Energy and Sustainability Group are the ones on the LED streetlights discussion.
Exactly, right. So just so you know,
topic,
the conversation was between Nancy and Rick.
Okay.
And so it's interrelated, and I suspect that if Nancy comes in, then Rick or Chip may want to attend at the same time. But it's the same thing we went through with wild native plants.
Okay. All right, so I think the task there is to have Jen this week or next week, or possibly Chris next week, contact these folks and see what their availability is.
Right,
and
exactly.
in theory, I'm all for it, and I think it could happen quite soon.
I will say I was delighted to see on the select board priorities, I don't have a priorities list, but on the list about discussion of changing out to LED streetlights.
Yeah.
Delighted to see that.
Yeah, that's an energy and sustainability initiative. In fact, I think, did they get a grant for it already? Is that what I?
No, what happened there was National Grid. That used to be a somewhat daunting process, but National Grid completely changed things about a year ago. It was like last spring, to make it much easier. Because it used to be, you may remember, you had to actually buy the street lights.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You know, it was a whole thing. National Grid, I want to say it was like April or May of 2024, completely streamlined it. Now you basically just need to send them your desire to do that. So the Energy and Sustainability Committee had met with the Select Board, I think in June of this year, and updated them on that it's now really a plug and play type thing. Basically, that the only selection decisions the town has to make is what brightness you want, what type of bulb color you want. And so the Select Board basically agreed with the recommendations of the Energy and Sustainability Committee and gave them the green light to go ahead and go forward. So they then followed up with National Grid. I've been copied on everything, so my office and the board are aware of everything, but the Energy Committee's been terrific just running with that. So we actually expect, I always want to under promise, over deliver, but it is very possible that those streetlights will actually be swapped out this calendar year. So if it doesn't, don't blame me. You know, it might lag, but the point is, it's officially in process. The paperwork's all been submitted, and it's in fact moving forward.
Well, that's great. It's great for all kinds of reasons, environmentally and in terms of.
And I'll put a plug in. Perhaps the highway garage light could get changed at the same time.
Well, when we see Rick and Chip, if we
yes,
make a comment about that, I'm sure it will be taken care of, because they're intent on those kinds of things. All right, so we'll try to see when we can schedule these folks. And then the discussion of reduced frontage zoning, clearly that's something that's of interest to all of us. Clarifying the bylaw that we have. Katrina had begun some research on that topic. And again, I'm going to ask Chris to pick that up. And we should start to think about, you know, we're designing something the way I like to approach it. And, you know, design runs all the way from no rules at all till the absolutely strictest rules anyone in the world could possibly come up with. So the truth lies somewhere in the middle, but we need to think about the ramifications of how much we do and what we do and so forth. So just keep that on a more front burner, not a two back burner.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as a future agenda item,
Mhm.
I'd like to talk briefly. I'm talking like a 5-minute agenda item. I've been educated some by Carol Decker, and so I'd like to discuss developments and mowing and that sort of stuff for future development. So some native and wild stuff for the future.
Okay.
Just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, this is great that we have all these folks in town who are extremely knowledgeable and very interested and are willing to bring these things to us. And we have great potential as a clearinghouse, and we need to figure out how best to either redirect them or incorporate it with what we do, or, you know, what to do with it when they come with
Right.
these. So
Right.
that's going to be an interesting thing to sort out. Again, we may get some assistance in that from the new planner, for whom I have
Yes.
high hopes, as you can tell. All right. So I think we've actually made it through this lengthy agenda. I would just like to set some future agenda specificity. Our next meeting will be 2 weeks from now on Tuesday, September 2nd. Definitely, we will be reviewing and hopefully signing 2 decisions. And the rest of these things are sort of discussion items. So I think, yes, go ahead.
Well, at our next meeting, we'll probably need to set up the schedule and everything, the public hearing for the MBTA stuff, right?
TBD, probably.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if the state comes back to the select board, then presumably before the end of this month, the select board will come to us. So the next meeting, we should have a brief discussion about setting up the public
Yes.
hearing and all that.
Okay, so that'll definitely be on September 2nd if something's been received. And then ongoing, I can work with Jen on this, and you all can send input to her too. But the things on my list are looking over the select board's priorities document and weighing in on initiatives that we may have identified that haven't been included there, and commenting on any. Trying to get folks in to talk about dark skies and LED according to their availability. Wild and native, that's something that you want to do, Ray?
Yeah.
Like planting, mowing schedules.
Just brief.
Yeah.
Are we going to take up open space residential recreation plan? Are we going to actually discuss that? Because we really didn't discuss it tonight.
No, we didn't discuss it. We can do that. Yep.
Yeah, well, my guess is, I'm just guessing now that like myself, that was kind of a late entry, as I recall.
Yes, it was very late
Yeah,
entry.
so-
We had a very short deadline that came before our next meeting. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll see what they have in mind for us and talk about whether or not we agree with that, at least. Yeah, planning board tasks. Okay, dark skies, LED, the reduced frontage special permit. I'll keep it on the list just so we don't lose track of it, but I don't anticipate getting to a discussion on that next time because I really would like Chris to get some research to us.
But if we could, perhaps maybe start at least discussing the issue sometime later than next meeting. You know, just so we get acquainted with.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. So-
I'm gonna keep, what I like to do is keep future agenda items on the agenda as future agenda items.
Yeah. But
I mean,
what I'm saying
just
is,
to keep track of them.
This is the 3rd month that we've made it yet again another future item, and for good reason. But I'd like to at least take it up at the 2nd meeting in September, just so I can get acquainted with what other people are thinking.
Yeah,
Well, let's
we just really
specifically-
couldn't talk about it in the middle of a ongoing.
Yeah, for good reason. I agree.
No,
I agree.
no. All right. Well, let's be more specific then, and we'll put it on a
second,
tentative
yep.
September 16th
Thank
agenda.
you. Thank you.
And then there'll be whatever ordinary things there are. So,
Right.
I'm sure other things will come up too, but at this point, I don't know of any active applications before us. So it's kind of a nice inflection point as we go into September to take up some of these things that have had to wait while we've conducted public hearings for a couple of months.
And if I could, just one thing.
Yes.
We're the placement of items for future planning board agendas. Primarily, that was initiated by Nancy, primarily about dark skies. Unfortunately, she also had Rick in there, so I'm not quite sure that the LED streetlight is the thing that's going to. It's mostly about what Nancy wants to present, is my point.
Okay. Well, we'll be in touch with her and see what she has to say.
Yep. Great.
From what Anna said, it sounds as if LED streetlights may already be underway and not need to take up anybody's time to appear before this board.
Right, and I'd like Nancy to have kind of the floor if she could.
She will certainly have her opportunity.
Great.
Sorry, I'm trying to write while I listen to you. All right, before we adjourn, any other comments? Anybody have any issues? Okay. All right, I may be, I'm gonna have to go back to my notes, make sure we've picked up all these different conditions. If we have draft decisions to send for you to look at, ahead of that meeting, I may well do that so that we haven't missed anything in those drafts. Ray?
I'll be very much out of touch for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, good. Good. Sounds like
I'll be riding my bicycle in the Alps with my son.
Oh,
Well,
very
you
nice.
enjoy it and be careful on those downhills.
Yes,
Yeah.
very careful. Well, you've done this before, so wow, that's been a whole year
It was my brother who almost wiped out in a tunnel. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right, well.
E-bike or pedal bike?
Pedal.
Oh, good for you.
Well, when you do get back,
see.
you'll be full of energy and raring to
Or
go.
dead.
Oh, good Lord.
I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, well, have fun with that. If we don't hear from you, we'll know that you're yodeling your way through.
Yodeling, yes.
There you go.
All right.
Have fun.
So future agenda, I think I've got that sorted out, and I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Aye.
Yeah,
Brian
bye.
Murphy, aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. This was a
Good night, everybody.